Okay, quick video for you guys today. To be honest with you, YouTube is not coming easy to my brain as of late. These videos coming down, sitting down in front of a camera and riffing for 10 or 20 minutes has not been something my brain has wanted to do. I just got back from Ireland. My brain is still trying to turn back on. And so today, quick one, short one, it's gonna be on a hiring principle that I have learned over the last couple of years that I don't really see anyone else doing. I hope this helps. We're just gonna dive in, roll intro. If you don't already know, I have a consulting company where I work with larger companies. I don't really work with people just starting. I don't have any kind of what's called BizOp or business opportunity program or course for people who are looking to start in business. I only work with someone or people who have established businesses already. And one of the common things I see as they grow is that they have to hire. Specifically, they have to create new departments, whether it's bringing on your first sales rep or bringing on your first operations person, your first client success coach, whatever it is, there's gonna be times in your business where you have to hire for a brand new role.
We've spoken with our closer captain. He's almost on board. Same thing with triage captain. We are wanting to put pen to paper on the exact compensation structures. So you mentioned that you want them to be like second in the roster when it comes to payment in their own division. What is typically the difference between the highest paying and the captain then?
Yeah, it can be like 20%, 25%.
20%?
Yeah, 20-ish%.
I've seen so many people do this wrong. I think this point is best made with stories or examples, and I think the easiest one for most people to internalize or understand is sales reps. Most people eventually bring on a sales rep to close their deals. And what I've seen many people do, knowing that they only need one closer, is they hire one closer. That closer comes on, and that becomes the baseline for what is expected in the sales department from there on forward. And I've seen this a dozen times where the closer isn't performing to the expectations set by the business owner, but then the business owner takes on the responsibility of thinking they set improper expectations or unrealistic expectations, and they change the comp plan so that that closer can make enough money to stay in the role. To put numbers on this, let's say you're a business owner expecting a closer to come in and collect $80,000 a month, and they come in and only collect $45,000 a month. The expectation is not hit, which means the compensation expectations or the OTEs, the on-target earnings, are not being hit. So that closer, in order to keep them, the business owner oftentimes changes the compensation structure so that the closer can make enough money to stay. The problem comes when you bring in your second closer, and the second closer is more skilled than the first closer. And because the compensation structure is broken to meet the first closer's standard, the second closer just runs it with a broken comp structure. And they end up making way more than anyone in that role should. And that happens because you brought talent into a role that you almost structured for lack of talent. To zoom out, in case I made that point a little too weak, people change the compensation structures of a role to meet where they think the OTEs for that role have to be, in this case sales. So if you want your closer making $8,000 a month, but the compensation structure doesn't get them to $8K per month, you change it so that they can get there. But then you bring in a skilled person who runs with that comp structure, makes $18,000 a month, and you realize your comp structure was never broken. You broke it to meet where the first closer is. The problem then becomes that you have this other closer who's not making really good money, and if you want to actually have healthy economics, you probably have to bring that back a little bit, especially if you want to scale and bring on more closers. This problem occurs all the time in sales, but I've seen it in operations, I've seen it in CS, I've seen it in CSM departments. It happens all the time, and I have one way, tried and true, of avoiding it every single time, and it's hiring in threes. Anytime you create a new role or new department in your business, hire 3 people for that role. Bring them on as interns if you're hiring W-2s. If you're hiring, like most people in the space, contractors, you don't have to worry about the logistics of the hiring. But hire 3 for every one position you have available in every new role or department you're creating. And let them know, set the expectation properly of, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Salesperson or Ops person, there is one position open. There are 3 candidates that we're looking at. We're gonna actually just test all of you guys in the position live for 1 week to see who earns the spot. Whoever has the best results gets the spot, whoever doesn't. There will be times where 2 or 3 of those people end up staying at your company and you find extreme talent and you make room for it. More often than not though, there will be times where you realize one person is just leagues above the other 2. And it's funny because oftentimes the one person who is leagues above the other 2 might not have been the person you would have given the original offer to.
Hey guys, as I'm editing this, I realized that this is exactly what happened when Paul was building the content team. He hired me, Matteo, and another guy that he let go after the first meeting. As he said, sometimes you're just gonna find yourself keeping 2 or 3 of the people you hired. That's why right now, Matteo and I are still on the team. And I gotta tell you, if Paul didn't use that method, I wouldn't have shown him that I was worth keeping on the team. Same thing with Matteo. Because what it actually made us do is give 20 or 40% more of what we would have gave if that method wasn't used. And that is exactly why poll let that guy go after the first meeting?
Oftentimes, the people who do the best in the role are not the people who interview best. Those are two different skill sets. But the benefits of doing this are threefold. Number one is that you set a healthy standard or expectation of what the role is actually capable of because you've seen 3 people go through it. Once you see 3 people go through your role, all with the same variables at play, you start to be able to set much clearer expectations on what that role is capable of. Maybe your compensation structure was broken. Maybe it was too low. Maybe it was too high. But what you get is an expectation of what the role is capable of. Let's pretend this is a scientific experiment. Ollie, do me a favor and put this on the screen. In science, you can't experiment something effectively if you have more than one variable. And the way most people hire is they have one variable, which is the new role, and then they have another variable, which is the person coming into the role. So when something doesn't work, you don't know which variable is causing it to not work. And most people default to the position not working. Versus when you hire in 3, your 3 people become variables, but the independent variable in comparing them is the role. The role is the same thing for all of them. Now you could get in the variables of if it's sales or CS or SSCs, then you could have different calls coming in and different call quality and lead quality and such. But for the most part, it's the most scientific way of contrasting different reps in a role to see what is the standard expected. The second byproduct of hiring in 3 is that whatever person wins the role, you now see what they're capable of personally. Meaning, when someone comes in and has to compete against other people, they will likely run faster or harder than they normally would. Example given, let's say you're in school trying out for the track and field team. You know that you're gonna have to run faster to earn a spot on the team than if you just got on the team and had to practice. If you normally run 15 miles an hour, you might run 18 miles per hour to earn a spot on the team. But as a business owner, now we know that this person is capable of running at 18 miles per hour. Versus had we never hired in 3, they never had to compete for the role. When they came on, they were running normal speed, they were running 15 miles per hour. We didn't have the merit or the right to then hold them to the higher standard that we now know they can run. This is a little wishy-washy, so let's say we're hiring a sales rep again, and that sales rep is taking more calendar time. That sales rep is making sure that they are updating every single lead in the CRM. They're punctual with every single meeting. And then after they get hired, they loosen up a little bit. You now have the ability to say, I've seen you do better than you're currently doing. I've seen you do more than you're currently doing. Why are you loosening up? Why are you taking your foot off the gas? Why are you sacrificing your own standard that you've set for yourself? Versus if we didn't hire in 3 and they didn't have to compete and they didn't have to put in that extra 10 or 20%, we never would have seen that. We never would have been able to hold them to that standard. The last benefit to hiring in 3 is that it really makes people feel like they earned their role. This is a whole nother video that I should make, but one of the many commonalities that I've seen in really good hiring processes, including my own, is that the longer the hiring process, the longer the person tends to stay on the team. More specifically, if someone feels like they had to really earn their spot on a team, they'll be more prideful about their position on the team. They'll buy into the culture even deeper on the team. Think about the military, the US military, or even law enforcement. You can't just join the military. You can't just join law enforcement. You have to go through an academy. You have to go through training. What they do in that training is make you earn the badge that you will one day wear, or earn the uniform that you get to put on. You can't be a civilian who just gets to put on a uniform. You have to earn the uniform. And if you think about how much more buy-in you would have after you went through an academy, it's the same thing with the hiring process to a lesser degree. You have to earn your spot on any good team. And one of the best ways to do that is to make them compete with others to join the team. So the 3 benefits of hiring in 3s when you're starting a new position is number 1, you get to see what that position or role or department is capable of in a way that would take you 3 hires down the road to learn. You get to get all of that information up front. Number 2 is whoever does come in, you see what that person is capable of personally. You can hold them to a higher expectation. Almost always you'll see that people slowly loosen up on the gas. They take their foot off, and you get to tell them, because you've seen it, put your foot back on the gas. I know what you're capable of. I know that you're holding back. And number 3, the third benefit, is that people will feel more bought in to their role. They'll feel more bought into the company. They'll stay for longer. They'll buy into the culture even deeper. Hiring in 3s is one of the best things that I've personally done in business. I don't see enough people do it. I see a lot of people have really, really tough times creating new departments in their businesses because of it. I hope this helps. I'll see you guys in a more structured video tomorrow. Until next time, happy hunting.